Hey guys, before we hop into your video, I wanted to tell you guys about my new partnership with BetterHelp. If you haven't heard of it, it's an online resource in which you can find your very own friendly local neighborhood therapist, no matter where you are in the world. You sign up, and within 24 hours, they match you with a licensed therapist that's right for you. And you can talk to your counselor every week via phone or video chat, and you also have the opportunity to text them in between sessions. As most of you guys know, I am also a licensed professional as well as a mental health advocate, and sometimes in these readings, very in depth topics come up that are very intricately related to mental health, and it's for that reason that I offer this resource to you guys. And if you know anyone that can benefit from them, or if you yourself can benefit from them, I suggest you take advantage of them. The information to sign up will be in the description box below, but let's go ahead and get into your reading. Hello, fire signs, and that's Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo, just in case you didn't know. Welcome to your end of February into March love reading. I am Princess India. If you are new, if you are family, welcome back, my friends. So we're going to go ahead and jump into you guys' cards and see what is going on between fire signs as well as their persons, peoples of interest for the end of February, going into March. And if you want, I feel like I should say that now, because I know, sometimes people feel some type of way about elemental readings. If you want your individual sign, those are available on Vimeo and through my website and whatnot. Just throwing that out there. So let's see what is going on for fire signs. I'm just sensing how it is that these cards feel. They're totally sticking together. All right. First card out, we have the Nine of Swords. Okay, so all right. I'm getting a mixed message from that. And the first thing that comes to me is disconnect. So, okay. So when it comes to you guys and the person that you're dealing with, there isn't anything wrong in an external sense, right? Like, everything's fine. But I feel that there's more or less a disconnect, but it's a different kind of disconnect. I gotta save these cards, Lord Jesus. It's a disconnect where it's not necessarily like emotional, like you think, if two people are together and I don't know, you get into it or something happens and you end up like disconnected from each other. It's almost, and I don't know why I'm picking up on female energy, and it's like specifically for what it is I'm seeing. I don't know why it's like Sagittarius female is coming to the fore is what I feel with that. But it's kind of like being in a relationship with someone, right? But it's like you feel disconnected from them, but not in a way where it's like you think like a relationship gets to like a bad point and you guys emotionally disconnect. I don't feel it like that. It almost feels like being with someone and like, I don't know, like the dude's kind of corny or something like that. Like, it feels almost like if this would be the ideal, it's someone who fits like the ideal role of like boyfriend or husband. Like, they're a good provider. They take care of me. They're supportive. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing really wrong with the person. But it's like there's a disconnect there. It's like the person doesn't really tickle your fancy, if that's making sense. They're not a bad person. It's just, like in the role that they played, like that's ideal, but like there's no, like passion or true connection or drive with the person, but they're not a bad person. It's like, so if you were like married to someone, it's kind of like, and this is not specifically what I'm seeing, but this would just be like a scenario, an example to kind of explain the energy I'm seeing here. It's kind of like if, say you were, I don't know, you'd never been married before, and you were like, you met this guy who was like a church boy. He'd never had a girlfriend, never had sex, you know what I mean? But he came from like a good family. And, you'd never been married or anything before, and you met him, and he was really sweet, always bought you flowers, like anything it is that you wanted or needed, dude was there, right? Dude was there. And, he asked you to marry him. You weren't really dealing with anyone else, so you were like, sure, I'll go with it. And then some time passes, and, you have kids and stuff like that. And it's like you're just looking at the person and you just feel unfulfilled. It's like the relationship is very dull, but it's like they're not a bad person. But it's just they don't do anything for you. Like you just don't feel that way about them. You know what I mean? Like there's no chemistry or magnetism. It's just the relationship just makes sense. Like that's what I'm getting from that. And the main thing that I feel that feels heavy on the Sagittarius realm, and it feels like I would be describing a female, but to each its own. Okay, so this card is just like, let me flip back over. Oh, well, the next card that we have is the Eight of Pentacles in the reverse. Yeah, man, that's what I'm seeing. And this is like, so this is kind of coming out of that Sagittarius female thing, and like for everyone, that's the vibe I'm getting, man. It's like it's dealing with a person because it makes sense, or being with someone because y'all have been together for so long, and it's just, you know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to, it's not hard to explain. I feel kind of bad. This really feels like I'd be talking, this is general, y'all. So get in where you fit in, cross watchers and all. But it's like the way that this is presenting to me is if the story that I'm seeing in my head, it's like the main character of the story I'm seeing is a female, but it could be a male. But it's like I'm seeing it as a chick. It's like engaging with a dude, and it's like she just doesn't feel anything. I just realized I don't have lipstick on, y'all. Don't y'all judge me, fire signs. Leos, you better help up for me, goddammit. I just realized that. But, dude, it's like I'm seeing the narrative. There we go. I feel like one of my guys was like, girl, you ain't got no lipstick on. And I was like, oh, I didn't put lipstick on. Don't judge me. Moving right along. So it's a female that I'm seeing, but it's more or less like the guy isn't a bad guy. Like he's not a jerk. He's not an asshole. He's not a manipulator or anything like that. It's like, I feel like it's almost as if like you try, but it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like you just don't click with them like that. But it's not that the person is a bad person. It's like I just can't go to that place with you on that level. But I feel like it's a thing where this is something where people are trying, another scenario I could see this happen, and I'm thinking about a conversation I was having earlier with my website members in the chat. And I have a best friend that's a boy, right? And we've been friends since like childhood. And another one of my members was saying how she has a best friend that's a guy. And like, we're just kind of joking about the fact that people always think that it's weird that, you know, when you have a best friend that's a dude. And it's like, you know, my best friend and I both, like, he was married, I was married. Like, it's never been like that kind of thing. Cause it's like, I was like, whenever people suggest that, I'm like, ew, you know what I mean? And it's like, I look at him like a brother. I don't look at him in that, like, ew, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like me thinking about that conversation we were having about like how we feel about our besties. It's almost a vibe like that, but it's people who are dating. So it's almost like how I would feel if I ever tried to date my bestie. It's just like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, he's not a bad dude, but it's like, like, yeah, you don't touch me, and I gotta kiss you. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally the vibe I'm getting from this. So it may not be to that extreme, and you may be a dude that's experiencing this, but what it looks like, it's just a disconnect because there's a lack thereof of chemistry, and it's not because the person is a bad person. It's just that, you know, some people just don't vibe and like jive like that. But I feel what almost as if why I feel like I'm having to say this to my fire signs is that I'm more or less giving like the background narrative of what's happening, because I don't think you guys may be aware that what you're thinking, it's starting to manifest in your behavior. And it's like the person that you're dealing with, it's like they're going harder in the paint, right? Because they're trying to win you over, because they sense like a sense of distance or a disconnect. And it's like, it's making them want to do more and like overcompensate and like touch you more, be more available, call you more, buy you stuff, and all these other kind of things, because they feel that, you know, that there's a level of distance between the two of you. You know what I mean? But I don't think that you guys are aware that your behavior is changing, you know? Because it's kind of like, you know, you can be in your head so much about something, or you could feel something, or even be denying that you feel it. Like, you know, almost if a person is in their head saying like you're trying to reignite that feeling, or you're trying to like dig in and feel it, and thinking that, you know, something's just wrong with you. And it's like, you know, because I really should be thankful for them because, you know, he or she does XYZ for me. And it's like, I really should be grateful for that. They pay all the bills, they pick the kids up from school. And it's like, I really should be grateful for all that they do for me. I'm being so selfish, right? That I feel this way. But it's the fact that in your heart of hearts, you really do feel that way. And we naturally act, whether we're conscious of it or not, we act in accordance with what it is that we think, feel, believe. You know what I mean? So I don't think you guys are consciously aware that it's coming out in your behavior, but it is. And I feel it's more or less a necessity for you to be honest with yourself and with the other person about that, because I don't feel that there's anything wrong with how it is that you're feeling. Because, I mean, that's how you feel. You know what I mean? And it's like that sometimes. It's like, whether it's you've been with a person for a long time and y'all have grown apart, or it's the fact that, you know, you just kind of got with the person and things haven't panned out the way that you thought that they would. But it's like you're validated in the fact that you're feeling what you're feeling. You know what I mean? And then the next card we have out for you guys is the King of Cups. Oh, goodness gracious, in America. Here's the deal. Just like I was saying, y'all have to like, and this is like tricky territory here, because it's borderlining on a moralistic type of thing, because you think should, ought, supposed to's, right? You think like, it's wrong that I feel this way. I should feel differently because this person does so much. They've never done anything to me. I should be thankful. And it's like, in the bigger scheme of things, yeah, you could say that, But I mean, at the same time, it's like you have to be conscious of your own level of happiness, right? Or what would be good for you. Because if we look at it like big picture, like if you really don't feel anything for a person anymore and you're just staying with them for like the right reasons, it's like that's not fair to yourself, and then it's not fair to the other person, right? Because in situations such as this, it's more or less like traditions or morals or what have you that are binding people into situations, but in the process you're more or less negating your autonomy, you know what I mean, or denying uh like your own truth in a sense, in service to what's the quote unquote right thing to do, right? Now, like I say, that's tricky territory because there are some people who believe that despite what you feel, what you think, or what you desire, that you should forego that to play a role. And I mean, if that's the case, then cool. You know what I mean? But it's not right or wrong either way. It's just really up to what it's really up to what it is that you value or what it is that you find important. So it's similar to kind of like what I was saying with Gemini yesterday. It's not really a thing of judgments of what's right or wrong. It's just really about what's right for you. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like I feel it would more or less be beneficial to you and to your partner, because even if it's something that could be fixed, because if you look at just marriages in general, it's like you run into rough patches, especially when you've been married like upwards of 7, 10, 20, 30 years. It's like naturally you run into rough patches because people mature, people grow, people change. You know what I mean? And if you never speak about the fact that you feel that the spark is gone or that you guys aren't, you know, where it is that you used to be, it's like you're more or less adding or contributing to maintaining the state that everything is in at the present moment. You know what I mean? And it doesn't necessarily have to be that. So it's like that's two ways we could more or less look at it. That's two ways that we could look at that, is that either it's like something where it's just died and you don't necessarily want to be there anymore, but you're staying out of feeling bad for the person. And this is totally, I think, like yeah, this is exactly, so y'all may, I don't know if y'all got what is this, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. I don't know if y'all have Gemini in y'all's chart or if y'all dealing with Geminis, but what came out in Gemini's extended was exactly this. You know what I mean? So it's two things where either the passion has died and you're staying in a partnership out of guilt or out of responsibility or allegiance because you feel like it's the right thing to do, you know? Or this is like a partnership to where you guys kind of hit a rough patch and there's a disconnect and there's a need to be open and honest about this disconnect so something can actually be done about it. So that's like the two ways that I could see this. So going into the cards for you guys' personal interest, that's very interesting. But now that I think about it, this is legit exactly what it is that came out in Gemini's extended. The first card for your person of interest is the King of Wands in the reverse. Wow. Yeah, dog. Then we have the Seven of Swords. This is legit, like, especially with this Eight of Pentacles in the reverse and this Seven of Swords. These are the two cards in this deck when those come out, that's when there's like a very clear and apparent disconnect between a couple. And seeing with your person of interest, I could see this two ways. Your person of interest, if this is a male, it's like a feeling of being emasculated in a sense. And I feel like it's a dude, and if you're a female, you can, put yourself, get in where you fit in, but it's like this feels like masculine energy to me. It's like it's a male who feels emasculated. It's almost like a person who is trying everything to get acceptance or validation for the woman to see him, to acknowledge me, and it's just not enough. But it's like, I feel for some of you guys, like going with that first scenario, it's like, I don't really feel that it's anything wrong with the dude. You know what I mean? So even if this is a dude, this is a cross watcher listening to this or whatever, it's like, I don't really feel that the person's not connecting with you because there's something wrong with you. It's just, y'all don't mesh well. You know what I mean? Because human attraction, dude, is a very tricky thing. And this is so ironic, dude, because I was thinking about this before I even sat down and did this reading. It's like, just coming home, I just had this thought in my head of, and I mean, it was hella random. Like, it's just a thought popped in my head about people and how, you could have a crush on someone, right? And you'll try to win the person over, and you try to win the person over by, showing all of your really great qualities, because you think that the person doesn't want you or doesn't engage with you or is overlooking you because they don't see how amazing you are. So it's kind of like this whole thing of like, I'm interested in this. I like this, and I do this on the weekends, and these are my hobbies. You know what I'm saying? And it's like this whole song and dance of like showing all of these amazing qualities that you have. So, because the mindset is almost thinking that the person doesn't know all of this great stuff that you have going on, and that maybe telling them or showing them all of the great stuff you have going on, or how consistent you are, how supportive you are. I'm a great listener. And not literally saying it, but I mean literally being a great listener, being there for the person. They get a flat tire, you show up, you know what I'm saying, before OnStar does, you know what I mean? It's like doing all of this stuff to show this person like, hey, here I am, you know what I mean? And I was thinking like, wow, it's like a lot of people do that, but it's like, majority of the time it never works, because it was never really about you in the first place. You know what I mean? It's like everybody, like different things, like different strokes for different folks, I guess you could say. Different things excite different people. And it's like this crazy element of, and I mean, some of it, for some of us, can be dysfunctional, some functional, some personal preference. It's like a combination of all of these things that just, creates a chemistry between people. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's that element that I think is like so magical about humanity, is that a person on paper can have all of the ideal qualities and traits to be a quote unquote ideal partner. But then there's a person who could not even fit that category, that a person just somehow clicks with. You know what I mean? And everybody doesn't just click. So I feel like the same regard with this of what I was thinking earlier. It's like a person who's doing all of that, it's never gonna be like, oh wow, you're into archery, and suddenly the person's like, oh gosh, chemistry, you're into archery. It's like, it never really works like that. So it's not really about, what you can do and stuff like that in the bigger scheme of things. It's like, it really boils down to a sense of organic chemistry. You know what I mean? And it's making me think about actors. Like, that's the reason why when you're in a movie and stuff like that, like why they have the main actors go on, they call them chemistry tests, because so that you can vibe with the person. So even though both of you are acting as people that you're not, it's like you want to convey that chemistry realistically on camera. You know what I mean? And it's like sometimes it just doesn't mesh, it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? And it ends up coming off very mechanical. And that's what it is that I'm seeing here. So if this is a person who's trying very hard to win someone over, whether you're a fire sign or you're the cross watcher of a fire sign, is like, I want to really stress that it's not you. It's not that you're not good enough. It's not that you're not smart enough. It's like, I just really feel that there's a lack thereof of a connection between these two people, or it's two people that are together and, it's like there's either no chemistry at all because there's never been, or this could potentially be a partnership that that has just fallen on hard times, so to speak. But it's almost like me seeing someone, and I say, dude, it really feels like a guy. It's like a dude who's fighting to get into somebody's good graces, and it just keeps being an epic failure. And it's like, are they cheating on me? You know, like, is my peen not good enough? Like, I mean, all kinds of stuff. And I mean, for some, because the Seven of Swords in this deck is my erectile dysfunction card. So for some people, it could be people who are actually in a relationship where a guy is struggling with ED, and that's kind of hitting his, making him feel kind of emasculated, as if he can't please his partner. And it's like an insecurity type of thing, and more or less a fear that she's gonna end up venturing elsewhere. You know what I mean? It's something like, it's some form of a dysfunction. And I even look at erectile dysfunction. That would be a really good, even if it's not literal, if I looked at it in a figurative sense, like allegorically, it's like erectile dysfunction would literally be a good allegory for this. It's like a person can't perform. It's like you could have every intention of wanting to do it. It's like your mind could be there, but it's like, it just won't go. Like, it won't happen no matter what you do. It's just not working. And because no matter what you do, you just can't perform, it's making the person feel even worse. And it's this thought of, if I could just be this, or if I could just do this, then everything would be fine. You know what I mean? And I feel what I'm here to tell you is it's not just that. Like, it's not just whatever this is that's lacking. I just feel like these are two people that may not be meant to be with each other. You know what I mean? Because in the bigger scheme of things, that's really what it would look like to me. It's just like, it's not anybody's fault. And then we have the Page of Wands in the reverse. Man. And this is what is that? It's the King of Wands, Swords, Wands, and then we got one Earth card, and then one Water card. Yeah, man. It's more or less, one of you is holding your feelings back, not expressing how you feel. And it's almost what one person wants and what the other person is are just two very different things. It's like, at the core, when you think about what either one of these people would desire in a partner, or what one of these people desire in a partner, it's just personality trait wise, or birth chart wise, or just personal makeup wise. It's like, you're just not that person. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a good or bad thing. It's not saying like, oh, I'm not good enough. It's like, nah. It's like, if, and I'm saying this very figuratively, if like looking at it personality trait wise, if a person is one particular sign, like if I use myself for an example, I'm a Taurus, right? So the ideal partner in astrology for me is a Scorpio, right? So let's say hypothetically that that's real life true. So I could never date nobody else because the only people that I'm supposed to date are Scorpios because that's ideal for me, right? So I'm like attracted and have chemistry with Scorpio traits, right? Which I don't in real life. All of my members know that. But so I have like, this thing with the Scorpio traits. But I choose instead to marry let's see. Who could I throw in here? Like an Aquarius, right? Let's say that I marry an Aquarius, which with my Gemini rising in real life, that wouldn't be so bad. But let's just pretend I don't have a Gemini rising. So it's like I'm with an Aquarius, right? So we're on two totally different pages, but it's like I'm married to them and they're all of these great things, but it's like no matter what they do, they can try to be like a Scorpio, but they can't because they're an Aquarius. And that's something that can't be changed because that's inherent to the person. It does not mean that Scorpio is better than Aquarius just because the ideal match for a Taurus is a Scorpio. It doesn't mean that the Scorpios are technically better. You know what I mean? Because it's all up to perception on if anyone would ever want to be in a relationship with a Taurus in the first place. You feel what I'm saying? So it's not an issue of it being right or wrong. It's just that it just doesn't jive. So even though the container that it's in, it's like oil and water. Man, Spirit, if you could have said that, like, what it is, if you could have said that, like, 20 minutes ago, that would have been so dope. Good Lord in America. It's like oil and water, people. That is it. That is the perfect analogy. It's literally like oil and water. It's like no matter how much you shake it up, it's like it just won't mix because it's like two totally different compounds in a sense. You know what I mean? So it's not saying that oil is bad or water is bad. It's just the two don't mix together. But oil and water can mix wonderfully with a myriad of other things, just not with each other. And that's what it is that I'm seeing with this. You know what I mean? So it's two ways that this is panning out for me. It's either one person who feels guilty and they're staying in this because of the guilt, right? And another person just keeps trying. Or it's like this is a partnership where it's two people who are married and there just needs to be somebody needs to speak their emotions so y'all can kind of heal the divide. You know what I mean? Or on the other side of this, it's someone who's trying to win the affections of a person and it's like their feelings are getting hurt even more in the process because the person won't accept them. But it's not because you suck as a person or you're a bad person. The two of you just don't mesh well, if that's making sense. Because I feel like it's a sense where it's like the person is measuring themselves up on this other person's acceptance of them. And I feel what really has to be looked at there is why it is that you value this other person's opinion or acceptance so much. It's like, why is it that you feel that you need to be, accepted by them? You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense, fire signs. 30 minutes, dog. Whew. All right, you can ask a yes or no question if you like. This is so fascinating. All right, we have Aries, we have node, we have Bay Lover Partner, Pisces, and Moon. So Aries, Pisces, Moon, Bay Lover Partner, and node. And I'm going to go on Vimeo. I'm going to play this out for each sign, for each individual fire sign. And then still look at how your person thinks and feels about you. But, dude, that's fascinating. I'm mad that it took me 30 minutes to get that out, y'all. I'm very feeling some type of way. Your spirit, you just could have just said oil and water 10 minutes in. I'd have been like, oh, okay. We have G, we have N, we have Y as in Yankee, M as in, why did I want to say Madden? Okay, G as in girl, N as in Nancy, Y as in Yankee, M as in Madden. And Q as in Queen. Madden? Like the game Madden? Okay, sure, let's go with it. But yeah, fire signs. So that is your reading. I'm going over to Vimeo to do them individually for you guys. So if you're about that life, follow me over there. If not, I still love your freaking face, and I will see you guys sooner than later. Deuces.